Deep inside all of us, we have this thing that God implanted in us that helps us survive. The problem most of us run into, especially most of us in the church, is due to the risk of possibly appearing judgmental. We silence that default alarm and carry on through life defenseless and completely unaware. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the power of intuition. We're even going to get into talking about the power of suspicion. See, your intuition or your gut feeling isn't there on accident. Intuitions have saved more lives than can be counted and have been the hero in the story since the beginning of time. But before we get too deep into that conversation, do me a favor and help me communicate to the algorithm that this kind of information needs to be seen and heard. Go ahead and like this video and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. If this is your first time on this channel, let me introduce myself really quickly. My name is Preston. I'm a fourth generation pastor and have been serving at my church for 20 years. I'm also a co-owner of a private security firm specializing in private investigation and executive protection. What I'm saying is I know church, but I also know security. And that's why this channel has been developed. See, this channel is dedicated and designed to help equip church leaders and volunteers just like you with tools, insights, and strategies to help create communities that are both inviting and secure. One of the problems we run into in the church when it comes to safety and security is it seems like a lot of us have disallowed ourselves from trusting our intuition because we're afraid if we trust our intuition, we're just being judgmental. And we know judgmental is, well, it feels anti-Christian. The question we have to ask ourselves when we get a gut feeling is, what is the cost of trusting, or at least what is the cost of investigating that feeling? Most of the time, at the very least, permitting ourselves to investigate our intuition poses very little risk and very little cost. Permitting yourself to investigate an intuition is something as simple as going back to your house to check to see if you left the stove on or see if you left the refrigerator open. I know I've done that so many times. Now, in the church, investigating an intuition might look like taking a volunteer out for coffee and asking them a few questions about their past, or taking on the personal responsibility to double check that the church is actually cleared out because there was a new guy who sat on the back row. He came in all by himself. He had a suspicious backpack, and you never actually saw that guy leave. So you're just going to make sure that the church is in fact clear. You're going to take a friend and you're just going to walk around and make sure everybody has left the building. And we tend to risk very little when we permit ourselves to trust our intuitions. However, we risk a lot when we restrict ourselves from listening to our intuitions. We often hear the term woman's intuition, right? And then that term in itself makes us assume that women have this great intuition or women have more intuition than men. The truth is, though, is they don't have more intuition or even a more accurate intuition. What they have is they just have a dependency on their intuition because men don't tend to lean on their intuition as a strategy for survival the same way that women do. So they get a lot more reps in when it comes to trusting and leaning on their intuitions. The problem men run into as it pertains to intuition is we tend to use our toughness or our strength as an excuse to put our intuitions on hold because we'll just always kind of figure it out. Now let's do an exercise right in the middle of this video. Different people have different reactions as it pertains to their intuition. Now, some people describe a gut feeling like deep inside of them. Other people describe their intuition feeling as this like closed down feeling. Maybe they're more naturally open. Maybe they're more naturally extroverted. But when their intuition is trying to tell them something is wrong, they close down. Take a minute to consider how you recognize your intuition. What's your physiological response when your subconscious is trying to tell you something is wrong? Take note of that thing and starting today, give yourself permission to investigate why you might be feeling that feeling in your church setting. Intuition is a God-given response that tells us something might be wrong. Intuition isn't about judgment. It's about observation, and it's about raising your awareness and correcting things that might be out of place. We struggle in the church with things like intuition. And going a step further, we struggle with things like suspicion as well.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
But like I said before in this video, these things are God-given and are built into our DNA. See, suspicion is innately built into us. It's simply defined as curiosity with an added instruction to watch. We talk about situational awareness on this channel all the time. We know situational awareness is a fancy way of saying paying attention. What's interesting about intuition, and especially about suspicion, is God built an alarm for us to have more added situational awareness. And oftentimes, we put that alarm on silence. I believe we do our communities a disservice when we silence the things that God built into our instincts to help create a safer and more secure community. In closing, let me encourage you. I want to encourage you to permit yourself to listen to your intuition. Let me encourage you to permit yourself to investigate your suspicions. That's not a pass to be judgmental based off of every little filter you might have because of your past relationships or your past experiences. That doesn't mean you get to have prejudices or make prejudgments on people who don't look like you. It just means when your intuition or your gut feeling tells you to investigate something or to double check something, don't explain it away. Give yourself permission to listen to your gut. Responding to your intuition and suspicion isn't about judgment, it's about investigation, and it's about observation. Thanks again for joining me for another episode on the Lead Church Security YouTube channel. If you made it this far, I'm sure you found some value here. If you did, please give this video a like. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and smash the subscribe button. And while you're at it, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of this content. We'll see you in the next video.